The second method that I teach here, let's go ahead and get that uncentered for. Here, let's hit it a couple times just for fun. Very uncentered lump of clay, okay? So the second method is a little bit easier on your hands because you don't have to, this is essentially the hand position that you have, and I'll explain this in a second, but your wrists stay relatively straight while you're doing this, okay? So, for this second method of centering, the other reason why I prefer this method of centering is because it's, like I said, it's easier on your wrists, but it is also scalable. So this is about 1.5 pounds of clay. If you move up to 5 pounds of clay, or 10 pounds of clay, or 25 pounds of clay, this is essentially the same method that you're going to use to move and center the clay. Okay, so this is what we're doing. So let me clean this wheel head off real quick. Oh, by the way, this is the wheel head. So with this second type, the preferred type of centering, we're going to use our left hand. We're going to use this muscle here at the base of our thumb. This is going to create some downward pressure on this top portion. So it's almost kind of like we're switching. Our left hand is going to be focusing on controlling the top here, right? We're not covering the whole top. We're just focusing on this half here, okay? Now, if I just press on the top here, we can kind of sort of get it centered on the top. But what's going to happen is we're going to start pushing this down, and the clay is going to start coming out the sides, and it's going to create some nonsense down here where it's really uneven. So that's where our right hand is going to come into play. So this portion, this pinky bone right here, and kind of the karate chop of our hand, we're going to have resting on, you can kind of see a little better on the mirror here, is going to rest and start creating pressure down here at the base, okay? You can see I'm starting to make an indentation by pressing down. A lot of that work is happening right here at this bone at the base of my pinky. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do something called coning up, okay? You're gonna hear coning up a lot if you kind of get into the world of throwing on the wheel. So with this muscle at the base of my left thumb, I'm going to press down on the top, but I'm going to create more pressure squeezing up towards this muscle from this bone at the base of my pinky. So essentially what's happening is this right here where I'm bringing this up towards that muscle, okay? And this is what that looks like. So you can kind of see in the mirror there a little bit better. I'm pulling this up into a cone shape, okay? So now I've got this kind of cone shape going here, and going up, I'm focusing on using this part of my hand to pull this material up as my hands are moving up towards this muscle here, okay? Bringing it up. Now, going back down, I'm gonna focus more pressure downward on this muscle here. Now, if I just start pressing this down, what'll happen is it's gonna mushroom over and I'm gonna lose control of this, okay? So as I'm pressing down here, again, just a quick reminder, we are keeping this wet all the time. As I apply pressure to this, it's gonna start to dry. And once it starts to dry, it starts to stick to my hand, and my hand's gonna start wanting to move with the clay. I don't want that to happen, so I'm gonna keep it wet, okay? So for going back down, I'm gonna apply pressure here, but I'm also gonna use these fingers here from my pinky about to my ring, my middle finger here, and I'm gonna use that as a barrier to stop this from mushrooming over as I apply downward pressure. So this is what that looks like. And now we've got this lump of clay centered perfectly, and we're ready to open it up and get started with the pulling process. So I'm going to show you one more time here. I'm going to kind of reposition a little bit. So I've got this, my pinky all the way down to this bone here. I'm going to focus on moving that material upwards. You're going to have to apply some pressure here, folks. This is going to take some force to move this clay up. The best thing you can do when you're getting into this is ripping this clay off the wheel, because that means you've got enough pressure. You just have to focus on dialing it back a little bit. So that's the way up, and then on the way back down. And you'll notice that my left hand, this guy over here, is supporting these 3 fingers as I bring it down. The more often you can support, your hands can work together to support each other, the more control you're gonna have, the better experience you're gonna have, and the more progress you're gonna make. Okay? So this is centering. In order for us to continue, we have to get it centered first. So imagine the next step, I'll kind of get into it a little bit here for a second. If this is uneven, and I decide, okay, we're gonna go ahead and open this. Once we get this open, we're gonna find that because this clay was not centered, we're gonna end up with more clay on one side than the other side. So if we stop this wheel, we can see this side is thinner than this side. Now, as we go to pull this up into a wall, we're gonna end up with a really thick wall and a really thin wall. It's very important to get this centered right from the beginning.